Everybody please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right, on roll call, Mr. Bartlett.
Here.
Mrs. Graves.
Here.
Dr. Lewis. Mrs. Rankin.
Here.
Mr. Stelzer.
Here.
Mr. York. Here. All right, before we proceed here tonight, I would like to take just a moment to acknowledge the fact that Randy's mother passed this past week, and I would like him to know that he has our thoughts, our sympathies, and our condolences. I know it's a rough time, Randy. And if anybody wishes to correspond with him privately, feel free to do so. Okay. All right, the council minutes. Does anyone have thoughts on the council minutes? Thoughts or corrections? No?
Nope.
No? No thoughts? We all good? We all good with the minutes? All right, then a motion and a second, please, to accept the minutes.
So move. Second.
Second, do I hear a second? All right, Mr. Bartlett?
Aye.
Mrs. Graves?
Aye.
Dr. Lewis?
Aye.
Mrs. Rankin?
Aye.
Mr. Stelzer?
Aye.
And Mr. York?
Aye.
All right, we'll accept those minutes.
Are we goofing you up because we're on?
No,
Here.
yeah, we're all good, we're all good.
Still in order.
It's still in order. All right, we got the communications from Jordan in the swimming pool. Any questions regarding those?
Do we have a year-to-date figure instead of just July?
We have, yes, we have year-to-date figures, and I have them in my folder over in the office, that I can supply that to you if you'd like it.
Yeah, that report I gave you, we're actually doing fairly well in the revenue.
yeah, we're
standpoint
doing-
through the end of July.
Right.
We're ahead of where we were last year. Like,
That was my next question.
It was around 100,000 through June, I believe, so.
yeah, but the July
102.
numbers, like we almost got another 18,000 or something like that.
Well, it says
Yeah,
12.
The July numbers look, the July numbers look,
Yeah, it's in the report that I gave
we're
you.
ahead, yeah.
So bottom line, we're up about 24 to 25% on revenues, which mimics the increases that we put in through dues this year. We're slightly ahead up on counts, but we're also picking up this year swim team fees and lessons fees. So that kind of adds to it also.
So
But
that's
we're
new-
ahead of where we were last
So
year.
that's new stuff that we're collecting
Yeah,
then.
and
Okay.
we still plan to survey people. There's a list of people who didn't renew their memberships this year, and some of that may have been because people came out and supported opening the pool in 2020. We're going to do another end-of-year survey, but we're also going to survey people who didn't renew and try to figure out why they didn't renew. So a couple things going on. But from a revenue front, we are actually up, to the extent of the dues increase this year.
It's good to hear.
Revenue's up, although, I know I asked you this last time, Joe, but total number of memberships, though, were slightly off.
Slightly ahead.
Yeah, ahead?
Slightly ahead.
Ahead.
But again, we lost, we picked up new memberships, but we lost, I want to say it's like lost 35 people. But we now know who those 35 people are, and we'll survey them to try to figure out why
To
they
figure out
didn't
why
renew.
they, okay,
Do a little bit of marketing.
okay.
I didn't point fingers.
Well, some were, in fact, that basically bought memberships the prior year because of the COVID, strictly because they wish to support the pool. We may have had a few of those people drop off this year, kind of a thing. All right, Joe is going to give us an update on the batting cage, where we are in the batting cage.
Okay, I included in the council packet. I'm not going to go through this whole thing because we had a chance to look at it. It's not really that complex of a deal. But more than anything else tonight is to get approval for the gross spending on this project to be amount not to exceed $19,000. I had $18,000 in the document I sent last week, but we got another $760 to install the turf. But this is going to be to replace the batting cage that was taken out by a tree several years ago. And we had field turf that was donated to the Village of Mariemont, which will be installed not only in the batting cage, but a practice area surrounding it. So it's going to be a great improvement for the baseball capabilities. The thing will be paid for from 3 different sources. We're going to get a $4,400 check from the insurance company once we, pay for the replacement of the batting cage. We have a $5,000 contribution from Wells Fargo that a local resident arranged for us, so that's going to contribute to it. And we have another Mariemont resident who's going to contribute whatever additional funds are needed to pay for it. So what we're looking for today is just a approval of the gross amount to be paid, and then this money will come in to offset it.
Yeah, we might be fronting a teeny bit of the money.
You'll be paying the fronting on the front end because you have to
Right.
pay it
Yeah, we have to
get the
pay.
insurance check.
Right.
We may be able to get the $5,000 and/or the other contribution ahead of it, so we're not going to be that far out of pocket.
No,
But
no,
it's
no,
similar
no,
to what
yeah.
we've talked about on the Murray Path, is that sometimes we have to approve the gross spend, and then the net dollars, the reimbursements come in on the backside.
It is very generous of that Mariemont resident.
Extremely generous.
Very generous
Yeah,
of the
extremely
Mariemont
generous.
No, extremely.
Yes.
And one of
Thank
the,
you.
at this point, yes, we may do some signage to acknowledge not only the payment from Wells Fargo, but from this resident. But we're still trying to figure, I've had two conversations, and the first conversation was, I don't need any acknowledgements. So we'll see, but I think, we probably will. I will say that one of the problems we have right now with youth sports is there's a fair amount of select sports that seems to take a lot of kids out of the recreational programs and take them away from their neighborhood ball teams. We have a group right now that's in the rec association that's going to bring back rec baseball, because it has been getting minimized in the past by all these select teams. And the fact that we're going to have this facility that they can use is going to be a great addition to that process. So this gives all the kids from Mariemont a chance to play baseball with their neighborhood buddies instead of, worrying about getting on these select traveling teams, which is really breaking up that whole process a lot.
Yeah.
So
And if,
will there be double ABC ball in the village here?
I think they're just going to stay knothole at this point. So, but
These kids won't do it.
and again, if
You
they
don't get the players in knothole. That was always the problem, was if you do knothole, you're not gonna get the select players. They're always gonna go somewhere.
I'll let you talk with the guys from the baseball group about what they want. Their goal is to try to keep people at the rec level and keep them involved. And again, there's going to be this peel off by people who want to play more games.
Sure.
And they can do it, but I like the idea about trying to keep recreation sports together as much as we can. And they seem to be able to hold on to some numbers, but there's a tremendous pressure because there's a lot of thought that if you don't get on a select team when you're 7 years old, you're done. Your baseball career is over at that point. Like, you're going to have problems getting on the right high school teams and playing there.
at 7, it's over.
7.
I know, it's so
They're-
crazy,
they're-
isn't it?
They're playing 70 games a year
Wow.
at that young level.
Oh.
And so there's this thought, and again, the more we can do to try to encourage to keep the neighborhood sports going. And again, this thing is completely paid for by the people who support it. It's just giving them the room back there to do it. So
Yeah, you'll notice on the drawing, we are reconfiguring this, and we are somewhat increasing the overall size of the thing, I think, which is nice. And also, I believe, and I'll be kind of organizing this, Sherp and our guys are going to do a lot of the initial, we're going to tear down the one that's there, and we're going to do a lot of the grading work, to help save money on this.
yeah, if we can get the maintenance department, we can knock off $2,700 off of the invoice to
Right.
start with. And if they can do some of the grading, that would help too.
Yeah.
But
Well, I mean, it's an interesting way to look at it, but we're not saving money. We're spending, it's our maintenance department that's doing it.
You're right, they're out there working, you're right.
the way I look at it, Randy, is we may be able to use those contributions somewhere else.
So, do we have these in? Is the $5,000 in, and do we have the $9,000?
We don't have them in, but the commitments are there.
Do you know what the timeframe on this is?
They want to probably do it in October or early November.
October,
So this will,
October,
by
November.
the end of October, this will be closed and the books will be done.
Yep.
Okay. I just don't understand, because I coached for 12 years, and that's a tight space back there.
It is.
So I think it's
Yeah,
great.
It is.
I'm all for it,
Yeah.
but this is where the,
They're actually rotating the batting cage because it used to sit up here.
yeah.
So
So
it's
is this
coming
the,
back.
yeah, that's the
Yeah,
better
so that's my
here.
question.
Right.
Okay, so this is, like, back here is perimeter trail, right? And this, So this is a ball field that's in the back?
Yeah.
The back corner, the back
Far
corner,
back corner.
right.
Okay.
And the little white thing here, that's the existing building,
Shed.
shed building that's there now, which is
Okay.
actually, and they're gonna go parallel to that and back, and then the increased, batting cage here to the front. And by the way, we're getting all that is being re-turfed.
It's field turf.
Yeah,
I mean, it's,
yeah, we're having the,
In here.
Field turf, does that mean like
the
it's?
areas that's marked
The-
that are shaded,
shaded.
and it's not a color drawing, but it's
Be
going to be
turf.
field turf all in front of it. And so again, if they want to do drills and things like that, they can do it on the field
On
turf,
that.
even on wet days. So,
Exactly.
and again, this is kind of unused space back there, so it's not like it's taking out anything from it. And actually, I've been told the soccer team's probably going to get back there too and use that field turf.
Is the building staying?
The building's staying, yeah,
Is that,
it's fine.
is that here under the trees? That's probably about right here, isn't it?
Which one?
That little square one.
Oh, that
I
little,
remember it just had a big.
no, that little
snake
one's
in
right
it.
here by the dugout.
Yeah, it's right next to the dugout.
That snake.
Yeah, that,
there was a big,
I think that thing is probably 45 years old. Brick building?
I remember, we painted it one time instead of.
It was there when I played knot hole back there. So, yeah, you're pretty close.
It's historic now, so we can't take it down. All right, so again, it's the approve not, our task here today is to approve not to exceed number. And again, it'll probably, it won't even get to that number on a gross basis, I don't think, if we get the maintenance department to do a couple things here.
yeah, yeah.
Sure.
Which
Sounds
I've
good to me.
already talked to him about, and I'll have him on board on that as soon as we get the schedule. So I think all we need is a show of hands that we agree not to exceed the 18,000.
Well, just vote. I mean,
Yeah. You want to vote?
so, yeah.
All right.
So again, the proposal is to approve the gross spending not to exceed $19,000.
Okay.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
So when we talk about the stuff the maintenance department's gonna do, that's over and above the 17,994.
That's part of it.
It is part of, so
Yeah,
the
so if we approve 19,
17,994.
like I said, there's no way we're getting the 19. But I just
So they
wanted,
might be able to do some of this.
there's no question they should be able to do some of it.
Okay.
Yeah, like I said, I've already had the conversation with them, that
But-
to tear down the existing is there, haul away some of the old chain link fence kind of thing, do some regrading. The site is really a mess down there. We can do a lot of that.
And we did send an email to the insurance agent, and they confirmed that once we pay this invoice, we'll get the $4,400. Because with that whole arrangement, if we didn't replace it, we'd get $3,400, but, they've
Yeah.
confirmed that they'll pay us
The
$4,400.
cash settlement number was the 34.
Who
because-
is the field batting tunnel owner? Doesn't the village own it?
What's the what now?
Field batting.
It says
tunnel.
remove old, says
Yeah.
field batting tunnel owner. will
This
remove-
is
Us?
This is a invoice or a proposal from Team All Sports, and what they're saying, that the owner being the village is going to
Okay.
get rid of the chain link and the fencing.
Okay, I just want to make sure I understood it
Yeah.
before I vote to spend money on it.
All right, so we have the proposal. Mr. Bartlett,
Aye.
Ms. Graves,
Aye.
Dr. Lewis,
Aye.
Ms. Rankin,
Aye.
Mr. Stelzer,
Aye.
Mr. York.
Aye.
All right,
Play ball.
play ball. I think it'll be a wonderful improvement back there. All right, so moving on, looks like permission to address council. Yes, ma'am, please.
Karen Fallon, 6966 Murray, and I'd like to address an issue that I brought to the attention of council in 2018. Dan Polecastro referred me to Mrs. Graves and to Mrs. Rankin regarding the Duke Energy poles when they came in. If you go from Murray all the way down to Settle, when they put in the large poles, they left the poles, the original wooden poles, and they were to come through and take those down. No one could get a real solid answer on it, just that they do it at their own time. Aesthetically, it's bad, but now it's gotten to where it's more of a safety issue. They've come back and taken some of them down, but there's 14 left behind. There's 2 wires right now on Murray, one over by the bike path that is down this low. I could walk right into it. There's a flag on it. One closer to the other trail that's probably about 12 feet. There's a rope, literally a rope tying a transformer to one of them, holding them up there that squirrels are gnawing on, so if that goes, it goes down. there's 2x4s that are holding them up, and I actually have pictures, so in case you haven't been through, past those.
Thank you.
There's also where they took out one of the poles right there on Miami. They left 3 cones because there's a hole this big that if you put your foot, you pass it every day. when you
I'm
come.
fully aware, but I know
So
exactly what
8
you're
months,
talking
it's
about.
been like that.
Yes.
So it's kind of gone from an aesthetic to, and I know that it's not the village's responsibility. I'm asking the village, what can we do to possibly get Duke Energy to clean up their mess?
Let me say that this has been a sore point with just about everybody on council, including myself. I have had several conversations with higher up level type people at Cincinnati Bell and Duke trying to resolve this issue. And it's the damnedest thing, because you think you're making headway with these people and you get good responses, and they tell you, yes, we're going to contact the people that have to be contacted within whatever department that seems to do it. And, I think, gosh, I made some headway here, it's going to get done. And then, of course, time passes and we don't get the poles out. But because we were involved in the Murray Path and we needed guy wires moved, and we wanted to concentrate a little bit more on getting I think there's 4 remaining poles on the Murray Path area between Plainville and Settle, and getting those out, I started to concentrate on that. And I'm sorry to have to sit here and report that I don't have good headway on it, because it's one of those situations, it's like a circular thing. Cincinnati Bell wants to point at Duke, and then Duke wants to point at the
But it's not Cincinnati
cable.
Bell's poles that we're talking about. Those are staying
But
put.
they may have wires hanging on it, or something. There just seems like nobody can
Bill,
remove.
don't forget
anybody's-
Spectrum is in this pie too.
Spectrum, yeah,
So
Spectrum.
we got 3 parties that we're
Right.
trying, and anytime we try to contact them, it's one of these.
Mm-hmm.
Go talk to them, and we keep making headway, but believe me, I share your frustration.
Well,
Because we
it
have,
initially is aesthetic, that was
Right.
my first thing, and I got over that a long time ago, and I'm not known to be a patient woman, but 3 years, 3 years is a long time.
It is a long time.
Yeah.
I'm walking with my grandson, looking up, and he goes, "What's that?" And I said, "Oh, that's a squirrel eating a wire that's gonna fall right down on top of us, So I think it's a safety thing, and even if you talk about your new path, how long is it gonna take them? When they come in to take out those poles, they're gonna tear up all the landscaping that you've done if they don't move them quickly. They break up sidewalks, there's a lot of damage to that. So that said, it's also a safety issue. If you've got a wire this low, and I'm 5'5", and it can hit me, a tall skateboarder can go right through, and it can hurt somebody. It really becomes a safety issue. So if applying to the 3 parties and saying, this is a safety concern in our village before it goes elsewhere, I think would be prudent, and I would just appreciate anything you could do on that.
I'll redouble my efforts. I promise. And I know the exact
Well, if
location
there's
you're talking
anything I
about
can
with the
do
hanging
as a
things.
citizen who actually lives on that
Yes,
street,
yep.
if you want me to contact somebody, I'm happy to.
Okay.
But just not doing, the situation's not getting any.
I know, it's
And
not.
when winter comes and ice gets on these wires, I think it's just gonna, the whole side of my
Yeah.
town is gonna.
No,
be
I know
taken.
exactly what you're talking about. I know that that's a
Yeah.
hanging
It's a
mess of
mess.
wires up there, yes.
And I'll be real brief, but the second question I had was about the pavement on Murray between Plainville and Berwick.
Mm-hmm.
What is the status of that now? I know it was scheduled for spring of 2020.
So that is actually, it's Columbia Township, so that's not Mariemont. If it was Mariemont, we would have had it paved long ago, I assure you. I live right around the corner and it's awful. However, we do have good news because Columbia Township has committed to paving that part of the road. And I think it's supposed to happen this fall.
Well, they're gonna pave, like to even it out, but they're actually gonna redo the road itself when they get done with renovating the fire station.
Yeah, so it's apparently it's
So
gonna have to
you're
happen.
not talking this fall then?
No, I think they're gonna do a pave.
Some preliminary
a
work, some preliminary work.
But regrading and
Yeah.
complete
The street needs
overhaul.
bigger work than just being paved because the way that the drainage runs, water piles up, there's no curbage, so the water doesn't run to where it's supposed to. But apparently, there has to be some work done and things tied
I'd
with.
actually, appreciate if you could get something in writing from them, because I've got an email from Mike Lemon, October of 2018, telling me it's gonna be 1.117 million, and it's gonna be done, and the grants are gonna be this, and it'll be 2019 or 20. So I keep seeing it on your agenda every time it
mean,
comes
we-
out, and
yeah.
it's going nowhere, so.
I mean, we spoke directly with the administrator there in Columbia Township, and so, but the piece is that though they have committed that they're gonna pave it, and then they're gonna have, there's gonna be, come back to do the additional work.
And they started to do, and they have done some extensive work regarding the sewer and whatnot into the old fire station, where they actually
I
dug
did
up
notice
a large
that.
portion of the street. And that was part of the initial work that was done, and they did a little, preliminary patch back. And I believe that is, because it's Columbia Township, they're not quite done with that yet. But like I said, when that's finished, I think what Kelly was talking about, they'll be doing some preliminary work to sort of level out the road drainage-wise. But how much time will elapse between that and the final
So
repave,
is
I
the
don't
Flying
know.
Pig running this, down that street this year?
As far as
Well,
I'm
is
aware,
it-
yeah.
Is it
So
five?
if the Flying Pig
Flying
Committee
Pig.
inspects that section of street, they're gonna ask to reroute it, which I think would be a shame for our village. not
I
to
mean,
have it
it's
come-
been in the same disrepair for years,
It's
but.
worse.
Yeah, it's not getting any
unsafe.
better.
It's
Yeah,
I don't
it's
under-
unsafe
no, I'm
for a
just-
runner.
It's unsafe.
It's unsafe for a runner. So anything you could do, or if I, as a citizen, can reach out to someone with my comments over at Columbia Township,
Okay.
I've got all their emails too, I'd be happy to do so.
Great, okay.
I am concerned, though, that we suddenly find out this year, and I know it has nothing to do with anybody in this room, that it's Columbia Township. With
Oh.
30 years, I've lived there, it's been paved by Mariemont at least 3 times. And you think about 60 years, all those tax dollars, we were paving a property that we didn't even own. So when I say I'd really love to see something in writing from Columbia Township other than a conversation, I think that's a fair request.
It is. It is.
I agree.
Thank you very much.
It is. Yeah, thank you. Anyone else? No? All right, everybody looked at the bills? Questions about the bills?
I had just a quick question regarding
Sure.
reimbursement to Mike Washington for car window damage from lawnmower.
Uh,
That lawnmower wasn't part of the service, or was that our lawnmower?
No, I believe it was our lawnmower, and I believe, the fireman cut the front lawn with the
Okay.
lawnmower the riding lawnmower that's in the shed in the back. It kicked up a stone, hit the windshield.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thanks.
I believe that's
Just
what
wanted
that
that
was.
clarification. Thanks, Bill.
Yeah. Any other questions? All right, motion to pay the bills.
So moved.
Second.
second?
Second.
Mr. Bartlett?
Aye.
Mrs. Graves?
Aye.
Dr. Lewis?
Aye.
Mrs. Rankin?
Aye.
Mr. Stelzer?
Aye.
Mr. York? Aye. All right, let's pay some bills. And having no reports this evening, there's an oddity. All right, under miscellaneous, got a number of things here I'd like to mention, starting with the pup parade. Yes, the pup parade on September the 11th. Do you want to make a comment about that? Are you leading the parade?
I am not leading the
Not
parade.
leading the parade? You'll have
I
your
have
dog
not
in the
been
parade?
asked. I will have both my dogs in
Both
the
your dogs in
parade,
the parade?
whether they want to or not.
Okay.
So this is something, it's not on there, right? You're telling us something that.
Right, it's not, it's,
I'm ad-libbing.
Going off script.
Going off script.
Can
little
you
bit,
give
but
a
these
bit
are
more
things that need to be
information,
mentioned.
Bill, just about it?
Just a heads up.
The
It's okay.
time, what's the time?
Do you know the time?
it will
It's-
be,
well, it's
there will
September
be
the
a
11th, but-
ceremony, it's September 11th, which is a Saturday.
Yes.
And at 11 o'clock, Todd Keys will be having a memorial service down at the flagpole in front of the elementary school. And that's at 11. And then at 11:30, the parade will start at West and Worcester. It's going to go up west to Madisonville, down Madisonville Road, back onto Worcester, and just kind of do that. It's not a real long parade.
So encircle the school, go around the school.
No, we're not going towards, start at West and Worcester.
Yeah.
And then go up west, like past the elementary school parking lot,
Yeah.
and then down Madisonville Road. And then back in front of like Starbucks and that whole area.
I believe it's on the website.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and it's on the website, the link to it, and also if you go to Facebook, there is a Facebook page, just type in Patriotic Pup Parade and it'll take you right to it, and you can
Yeah.
register there as well.
Okay. All right, there's that. There is the Taste of Mariemont this Sunday, and I expect to see everyone there. I will be volunteering, probably selling cotton candy because I'm such a sweet guy. And it's a great, great event. Big fundraiser for MPF, yes.
This Sunday.
You could take a bite yourself there, bud. All right, village offices will be closed in observance of Labor Day, Monday, September the 6th.
Oh, how is that already?
It's coming up. I know, it's coming up. Labor Day is going to be here. The Porsche Rally will be held in Mariemont on September the 18th.
And so, because you're sort of interacting with them now, right?
I'm
It's
going to
like-
be I'm going to be meeting with them on the 31st to sort of iron out the final details and the parking and the particulars. Yeah. But, we're bringing the Porsche Rally back. It was here a number of years ago. I think it's a worthwhile event. I mean, it ran into some whatever reasons. We had a big interval where we didn't have it. This is sort of let's have them back. Let's try and reinvigorate this thing.
Like a reset. Like a reset.
Well, like a reset, yeah. I mean, I think it's a good event. A lot of great cars and things will be in it. So that's what we'll be doing September the 18th. I think it runs for about 6 hours, through that day. And we'll be closing down the westbound lane of Worcester, that's where the main parking for the Porsches will be. People who wish to attend the event, the parking will be, in the elementary school lot and a few other places around. The details of which I'm going to be working out on the 31st. And then we have a memorandum here from Chief Hines regarding an invisible, we need to rethink the invisible fence setback. There was an incident at the corner of Miami and Rembold, I believe it was. There was a house that's just on the corner there. They have a dog.
Oh.
The invisible fence is literally right at the sidewalk line, so that if you're walking on the sidewalk with your pet, the dog can kind of come, what appears to be charging up, and before it starts to get the shock in the collar, right at the thing, there can be a problem. So I think this is something that, Avia, you might want to, I would like to put this into your committee to look at this. It sort of is, I mean, if we wish to reset the setbacks, it will require a piece of legislation, but I do think that.
It will?
I would think
Require?
so. Wouldn't it? I would think so.
It's I just know from my experience, because we have one, I mean, my dog can't get within 6 feet of the line, so it seems odd to me.
I've never seen Molly go that close to the road. That dog's like,
Because it's, what's nice about it is because you can have it, because they can't get that close to it, you know what I mean?
I know, it's a progressive kind of a shock fence,
Right.
Kind of a
I
thing.
just
And
wonder if it was a
The
failure,
particular
or-
house here that we're talking about, obviously, they would be grandfathered in on this, we can't, but going forward, I think we should have some kind of a setback standard by which how close to your property line should you, or, what is reasonably safe to set that wire.
Yeah, I just wonder if there was maybe a failure perhaps or something, I mean,
Apparently, it was
It
working.
could have been lower.
right, I mean,
The better-
So
or
was there-
I forgot to
what-
put the collar on the dog before, I mean.
was there an incident?
There was an incident. There
But
was
even
an
in-
incident.
So even what you're saying, Bill, I mean, even if it's a sidewalk that runs there, you can't just make it from the lot line, because the lot line goes out to the street, right? And if the sidewalk is in the property line, in the right
Well,
of way.
then that would have to be consideration. I mean, if there is a sidewalk, yes, running between the street, the lot line, and the property, it's then there.
Which there is there.
Setback would
Yeah,
have to be
there
off
is.
of a sidewalk as well, designated. I don't think it has to be unreasonable. I mean, I
No,
think
no,
just
no,
a
I'm just
couple
trying
of
to say,
feet,
it's
maybe.
it's not as simple as just
No,
the
it's
lot
not
line.
as simple. That's why I think this
Or,
has
I
to be
mean,
looked at a
do we
little
know,
bit.
is there a current setback? Do
I
we know
don't
what it
believe that there is. I don't believe there is on an invisible fence. Yeah. So,
Okay.
let's just take a look at it.
Sure.
Okay. All right. I think that was all in miscellaneous.
12 years old.
What, I mean, I'm curious to know what happened, so.
Yeah, me too. Can't,
No,
No, there was a lady walking a dog down the sidewalk on a leash. The dog that lives at the house with the invisible fence came charging up to the edge of the fence, and there was a dog fight. Never good. So, that was that. All right, so I think, Tony, one
We have
resolution?
one resolution, yes. An emergency resolution to accept the material terms of the One Ohio Subdivision Settlement pursuant to the One Ohio Memorandum of Understanding and consistent with the terms of the July 21st, 2021 National Opioid Settlement Agreement.
All right, you've heard the first reading. I need a motion and a second. This is going to be on emergency too, did you say? I need a motion and a second to suspend the rules and allow for the second and third readings.
So moved.
Second.
Second, all right, Mr. Bartlett.
Aye.
Mrs. Graves.
Aye.
Dr. Lewis.
Aye.
Mrs. Rankin.
Aye.
Mr. Stelzer.
Aye.
Mr. York.
Aye.
May we have the second reading, please?
Yes, an emergency resolution to accept the material terms of the One Ohio Subdivision Settlement pursuant to the One Ohio Memorandum of Understanding and consistent with the terms of the July 21st, 2021 National Opioid Settlement Agreement.
All right, any discussion? Maybe, Tony, you could just kind of,
Yeah, well,
Does
you guys
anybody
all
have
know
any
there was
questions?
this big lawsuit against the drug companies about the opioids. And so I guess Ohio got a bunch of money and they're distributing it to all the villages and townships and cities. And our allotment was 20,000, Rob?
Yeah, it's like 23. It's funny, they had two numbers on that chart, that they provided. So I think it was around 23 or so is what they
Yeah.
were talking about.
okay.
So we just had to sign up for it and I had to sign something and we'll get our money.
Is there
And
any
you have to pass this
stipulation-
legislation
Pass this, yes.
to be able to
Yeah, this came with it.
participate.
Get it.
And is there any stipulation on what you do with the money?
Not that I know of at this point. I haven't read all the details. But if it has to go to our drug fund and we can use it for drug awareness and stuff like that, that's, we can spend money on that.
Yeah. All right. Any other questions? No? May we have the third reading then, please?
All right. An emergency resolution to accept the material terms of the One Ohio Subdivision Settlement pursuant to the One Ohio Memorandum of Understanding and consistent with the terms of the July 21st, 2021 National Opioid Settlement Agreement.
I need a motion and a second to adopt.
So moved.
Second.
Second, Mr. Bartlett.
Aye.
Mrs. Graves.
Aye.
Dr. Lewis.
Aye.
Mrs. Rankin.
Aye.
Mr. Stelzer.
Aye.
Mr. York.
Aye.
All right. I need a motion and a second to evoke the emergency clause.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Bartlett.
Aye.
Mrs. Graves.
Aye.
Dr. Lewis.
Aye.
Mrs. Rankin.
Aye.
Mr. Stelzer.
Aye.
Mr. York.
Aye.
All right, that will be adopted.
Yeah, Tony, this is pretty tight timing too, right? It has to be in this month some.
Yeah, it's pretty tight. So we need to, I already signed it. Bill, did you sign? Yeah, you signed it.
Yeah,
so
I resigned
we
it.
got it signed.
Yeah.
Franley doesn't want it.
Yeah, send me,
So
send me the whole.
if there aren't
PDF.
stipulations on how the money's supposed to be spent, who gets to make that decision?
We'll just go into the
It
general
just
fund.
goes in the general fund. Yeah, goes for whatever.
Goes towards
I
our
think there might
Christmas
be some
bonuses, Mark.
stipulations.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think there are some stipulations
Okay.
around that we can spend it
Sure
on.
there are.
All right, folks, we're going to set a record here
Holy
tonight.
cannoli, we are.
Yeah, Joe wants to go for a bike ride.
I'm out of here.
All right.
We're adjourned.